welcome back to Impulsive, the number one podcast.
Podcast.
It's all just podcasts now. Podcast.
It's wild.
The first reason you should start a podcast in 2022 is because you get an excuse to talk to interesting people, whether they be creators, experts in their field, or anyone for that matter. You have a platform in place where you're meant to bring guests onto it, and you get to learn from them, glean knowledge, information, learn about the creative process, the world perspectives, whatever they're willing to share. And not only are you gaining a tremendous amount of value from this, your audience is learning from this person as well. That person is gaining value because your audience is getting introduced to them. Their audience is being introduced to you. And all in all, everyone in attendance is gaining value from each other, learning from each other, feeding off each other's energy. Another reason you should start a podcast is because it allows you to be a lot more intimate with your audience. There are no time constraints. You can express yourself more freely because it's long form content, much more longer than a YouTube video or an Instagram caption or a TikTok or a reel. And it feels like it's just you and that person one-on-one, whether they're studying and listening to you in the background, whether they're working out or in the car on the way to work. You can be a lot more raw and authentic because the editing is usually kept to a minimal. So you make a mistake, you stumble or stutter over your words. You don't edit it out because it just feels more authentic, more raw. It feels like they're talking to a regular, everyday human being without the crazy cuts and cinematics. So you're already tapping into an audience that is ready and willing to listen to you speak to your heart's content, whether you go on for 30, 40 minutes or maybe even an hour. As creators, we know that challenging ourselves is the fastest way to grow. And starting a podcast will do just that. It'll teach you how to become a better public speaker, a better narrator, a better collaborator. It'll teach you how to work with audio. It'll teach you how to express yourself without using visuals or music as a crutch. It'll teach you a plethora of skills that will help you level up in every other creative field you can think of. Whether you're a musician, a videographer, a visual artist, starting a podcast will help you up your game and level up in that field. So you've invited a couple guests into your platform, you've been intimate with your audience, and you've learned some new skills. Now you have a wide variety of content that you can repurpose across multiple platforms, whether that be TikTok or Instagram Reels or Facebook if anybody still uses that, or even YouTube Shorts. You can share interesting advice that you've gotten from guests. You can share intimate moments that you've had with your audience. And you can share what you've learned up until now and what it took to start a podcast. Repurposing podcast content is easy, doesn't require much work, it's not a challenge at all, and you have a consistent amount of content coming out to where you can stay consistent and relevant, because we all know that that's the only way to grow across these platforms. So the fifth and final reason I'm starting a podcast is a bit more selfish than the rest. You know, my whole life I've been rather introverted. I've never been one to initiate or start conversations. I've never been one to step out of my comfort zone. I'm usually comfortable staying to myself, you know, staying out of the way. Starting a podcast and speaking with people one-on-one, and even just speaking into the mic by myself and sharing my own thoughts is kind of a very terrifying feeling, to say the least. You know, I mean, making YouTube videos is one thing, but just speaking without a script and just speaking from my heart, and I guess sharing and teaching to a certain extent, and knowing the right questions to ask someone else to get the best out of them, to provide the most value for you guys who are going to be watching. I don't know, it's just even thinking about it now, I'm just kind of nervous, you know, like, what they say, you know, the path with the most adversity is the one that you should probably travel down. So as much as I'm terrified of starting a podcast, as much as it makes me nervous and gives me butterflies and jitters, I'm going to do it because I know this is the next step of my evolution. I want to become a better public speaker. I just want to step out of my shell and meet more people and talk to more people. And, I just want to be more intimate with you guys. So I hope y'all like this video. I know it's something different. It's kind of me providing a little bit more value than I usually do. If y'all like this type of video, let me know and I'll keep making them. If not, let me know and I'll keep making them because I kind of like doing it. But I do value y'all opinion on most levels, but sometimes you got to create for yourself. At this point, I'm just rambling. But yeah, by the end of the month or the beginning of the next month, the first episode of the podcast will be out. If you made it this far into the video, you are a real one. I appreciate you. Thank you for tuning in and have a great day. And I will see y'all in the next video.